Number 10, Gary.
Yes, the board should have a letter from Mark Parrish of our office discussing the securities for the Bluffs at the Oneida Shores. We were asked to provide an update on the securities. Essentially, the guarantee securities, the original amount was $18,075. We're recommending that be reduced to $9,900 as the time frames for many of those have expired. Relative to the work not completed securities, or what we refer to as punch list securities, originally we had asked for $31,800. When Mark did his inspection as of November 18th, he suggested increasing that amount to $34,300, primarily due to item 5, which was installing a gravel access road on lot 5. And you might wonder, well, why was it zero in the initial amount that was posted? And that's because the road was there when we initially inspected it. The gravel access road was there. When Mark went out and did his inspection this November, the road was not there, so he put in an amount of money. And what happened when the developer got this letter, he called and he complained. He said, the road's there, I topsoiled and seeded over it. So there's a little bit of a difference of opinion here as to
it does look nice, though. I saw that.
Yes.
Seeded over road.
You know, the problem, the issue from the developer's point of view is, you know, from a practical standpoint, you know, you've got some pretty expensive houses out there, and he feels the road is, you know, not going to be used very often, and he's provided the base underneath that. I could take the other side of the coin and say, from the planning board's point of view, you know, that road was shown on the drawings, it was intended to be there, and I guess the only thing in reducing the securities would be the fact that, in a way, you're sort of violating what that board had asked for. So it's really the board's decision. It can go either way. It's not a major engineering issue, but it's a planning issue. So those are the two sides of the coin there. If the developer is here, he's free to give his opinion. I don't know if Mr. Valenti is here.
No, I don't believe so. I don't see him.
Yes.
Comments on it?
I was just trying to remember the project, and I do believe this was a second means of access to the 6 lots that are in that development, and that's why the planning board, it was for emergency access, and that's why the planning board wanted to see it there. Just wanted to set that forward for your consideration.
Got board comments?
I think that if the planning board mandated it, before the gentleman took the time to do that, he should have approached him and asked him that's what he wanted to do. I mean, he just took it upon himself to take away something that the planning board had mandated on the original site plan.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Also, he'll argue that the road is there, but it's certainly not there in the intent that the planning board had it shown the way they intended it. There is a gate out there. It is an emergency access, but again, if something was going to be done differently, I just feel that in a way it's circumventing what the board intended.
And how much fill do they put on top of the gravel road? If it's wet, you're going to get a truck stuck trying to get in there.
Yeah, what I'm assuming they've done based on what I was told, I haven't been out there, Mark was out there, but it sounded like they just put the 4 inches of topsoil and, you know, enough to establish some grass. So
which is going to be 4 inches or 6 inches of mud when you take a truck through.
And also, some people may not recognize that that's a available access with the grass over it.
They won't.
Yeah.
And once they go through there and put ruts and everything else in there, who's going to be responsible for fixing that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. I would strongly suggest if you get into a situation, if the planning board gets in a situation like this, it is not cheap. One of the things that they do have is they do have a product out there that's like a block, and the grass will grow up through it. But you could actually drive fire trucks over that. I mean, and then it looks good. You could mow over there. The grass sort of grows up in the holes in the blocks. If you're going to do something like that, but again, it is expensive. But if you really need the emergency access, that's a compromise.
But it couldn't be plowed, and for winter time. This what you're just talking about there.
What? I'm sorry.
What were you just discussing? It wasn't. It's not anything that.
Well, that would be for future. I don't mean to put that encumber that on this project. I mean, this is if there's going to be issues, and some people are going to argue. What I'm saying is they should argue in the beginning when it's in front of the planning board, and then alternatives can be made.
Oh,
Right now, I would say that a gravel road would have been the way to go with it, because that was what was on the plan.
mhm.
Comments? Would like to make a motion?
And I just want to make it clear that what we're doing is approving securities for the project as noted in the O'Brien and Gear letter, correct?
Right.
And that's going to involve Tracy and I working to create a new security agreement with the developer because it's going to be an additional amount and different than what was originally proposed for some aspects of the securities.
Actually, it's still gonna end up being less in the long run, right? You got a $9,000 drop almost in the first one, and only a $3,000.
Yes, the one is guarantee securities and the
Right.
other is.
But I'm saying, it's not gonna be that, he actually makes out in this.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
The net difference, yes, is
Right.
less, yes.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Terwacki?
Yes.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Corral?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes. Number 11, Heather.
Yes, the town received correspondence from Onondaga County Community Development. They're submitting a grant application for New York Main Street grant funds that would be able to be applied in the Hamlet of Brewerton. They've provided you with a proposed resolution in support of the county's grant application and also a proposed letter of support in support of the application. Given that this goes hand in hand with a lot of the town's own efforts for revitalization of Brewerton, they've asked that you give your approval for them to approve for grant funds in that area as well.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Ms. Terwacki?
Yes.
Mr. Ryback?
Yes.
Mr. Corral?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.